Good afternoon, everybody. We are live here at the Houston Media Source, Public Affairs, Public Access, the award winning show here in Houston, Texas. And we certainly are welcoming all of our viewers from around the world, really. And certainly we want you to be appreciative of the information that we're going to share. We have some very noted guests tonight. I am Robert Gilmore Sr., just always glad to be here. And I'm going to certainly have a great time talking to Judge Laurie Chambers. She is a out of town, as well as our councilwoman, District D. She just came back into town, and of course, Dr. Higgins is here, our noted psychiatrist from Houston, Texas, but he's all over the place. And my good friend, Reverend Dr. Matthews, for our community view from our faith-based perspective. But we are here. Our theme tonight was returning back to normal, really. Where do we go from here? But what is normal? You know, we've had a number of people this week. The governor of the state of Texas came and he said that we are going to go back to normal, but he's forcing people out of town. I've invited Representative Reynolds to call in. He might be coming in to give us a report from Washington, D.C. As many of you might know or might not know, a number of Democrats left the state so that they would not have a quorum here in the state of Texas, a special session. But I want to say welcome to my guest tonight. So glad to see you. And of course, Councilwoman Shabazz, you have just flew in. You just flew in. And so I'm just so glad to see. We're also glad to see you. You are here healthy. How are you doing? And how's everything? You unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
I just said, let me make sure I'm not muted. I'm doing well. I actually, unfortunately, had to go out of town. I'm a Spelman grad, and one of my Spelman sisters passed.
Oh,
And she and I were very, very close. And so I was able to attend her funeral in Virginia. And so I came back in today. Certainly, I have things I have to do. And then, of course, when I heard that you needed me to come and speak, I just had to make sure that I was going to be in place. I do that for my brothers, particularly my Jack Yates brothers.
Yeah, you see it over my shoulder. Yeah, that's right, Jackie.
I'm right here, right here. So anyway, and then I did lose an aunt that was very close to me, who's a soror. She was a principal. She was my mother's sister, and she passed on Monday. So it's just one death after the other, and I go to so many funerals. It's unbelievable.
That's over my shoulder too. You see that pink and green?
But none of them are mine. Yeah, I know. So anyway, yeah, she was a bacillus actually of Alpha Kappa Omega. And
really?
So she was very high in the chapter. But at any rate, that's just life. I mean, she lived a long and full life, but she will be missed.
Well, how have you been getting back to normal? I know you've been keeping up. What you shaking your head?
Well, I'm shaking my head because we are not, well, the normal now, I guess, is a new normal because the COVID numbers are going back up. And unfortunately, that Delta variant is very, very powerful and transferred even more easily than the original. And for some reason, people have not have decided they're not going to get vaccinated. And I know that there are a few that have died with the vaccination, but very few. But the most of the people that are perishing or people that have refused to get the vaccination. And just to share something with you that I was very excited about a week or so ago, I actually knew George Floyd's sister, Latanya, before this tragedy. And she reached out to me about getting the shot. And so I said, well, just come on, meet me here at the house, and I'll take you over there to Texas Southern. And so we went over there together. But come to find out, she really just wanted a vaccination, a COVID test. I said, no, ma'am.
Right.
I said, you are around too many people to not protect yourself. And so she just kind of looked at me and then she quoted one of the myths that people have said that it has a chip or something in it, or somebody told her. And so, I mean, those are some of the things that are going around that people are being told. And of course, the Tuskegee experiment and all those different things. But she did sit down and I didn't have to hold her down, but she sat down and then she was just so surprised when it was over because it didn't hurt. And she was like, "Are they done?" And then I just cautioned her that she may have a few side effects, which she didn't. And I mean, she was right out running again the next day. But I was very, very glad that I was able to convince her to move forward with doing that. And I just it's this is
Well, now
terrible.
let
I
me
don't know
ask
when
you.
we'll ever get back to the old normal, if ever.
But let me ask you though, because if I understand, the county went up another notch, and
They went to orange.
there's no mandate that we have to wear masks from the city of Houston anymore, right?
Well, the actually the state, the governor um, has to weigh in because he's the one that actually makes the determination as to whether we need to wear masks. And at this point, he has not done that. Now, the county judge and the mayor, they can urge you to, but I don't think they can mandate it. Now, of course, I think the mayor can mandate it for city property, but not for the city proper. And so it's
Yeah.
just really, really a crazy situation when our leadership has not, for whatever reason, is under some kind of pressure or some kind of spell or something to say. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you because to me, it to me when I found out I could get the shot,
Right.
I may have been the first one in line. Okay.
Well, that's
And
right, because you had it. You were with us.
oh,
You had
I got to the place
right. You were
where I need
there.
to be. And
Oh,
if they tell me that I need a booster, I'm going to
You
do that as well.
you
yeah.
Because you have to weigh this out and say, do I want to be protected or do I not? I want to take this chance. There was too many people dying. I don't want to be in that number. And if I happen to die, it won't be for lack of trying to
well, we
live.
ain't gonna talk about dying too long, but you
No,
right.
no,
Reynolds, I'm just
yeah,
so glad to see you.
always.
You in Washington D.C.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's good
You
to be with
you
everyone. I
were
miss
with
you
the group,
guys.
Reynolds. Let me understand now. You were with the group that have hijacked the quorum.
I'm with the fugitives. The governor has he said he's going to arrest when we step back foot in Texas.
I don't know how long you can be on this call, but
I'm with
we
the
don't
rally
want them
bunch.
to we don't want them to trace. You were shaking your head now.
Yeah.
Now, wait a minute now. The leadership, well, just give us an update
But
because
yeah,
this whole situation is kind
I
of
want
whack.
and I appreciate you inviting me, and it's good to see all my good friends and my frat brother, my doctor, all everybody. Let me
Yeah.
tell you, Governor Abbott has, by executive order, taken away local control from the cities and the counties to implement mass mandates. So, Dr. Carolyn Shabazz, unfortunately, the mayor has no more authority to issue a mass mandate. The governor has taken away that authority, and he's already said, even though the numbers may be going back up, he will not institute another mass mandate. So basically, we're on our own. We need people to get vaccinated. There will be no authorization for mass mandates. It's all voluntary. You can suggest it. You can plead with people, please mask up, but you cannot have a mass based on state implementation of laws signed by the governor Abbott. So that is because of the far right. When he did the last mask mandate, the Republicans beat him up. The far right, they said, "No, sir, you will not do that." And unfortunately, he is caving to the far right. So I just wanted to put that on record to let you all know there won't be any mask mandate.
What about private businesses?
Private businesses, so they cannot. So for example, if you have your office, the only thing that you can do is suggest it, but you cannot mandate it.
Oh,
Even if Dr. Higgins got a sign on his door.
You can have a sign, but the only problem is that you can't enforce it.
So you're saying that I cannot be refused service if I don't have a mask when I walk into an establishment?
And
Well, actually, I think that as a business owner, you can always refuse service.
well, you could, but you can subject
Yeah,
yourself to
yeah.
uh uh a lawsuit. But yeah, you can.
Well, I
And
know the mayor instituted a mask mandate in the city, for city employees. So
I don't.
I don't know. We may need
I
to
don't
get
know. I
some,
mean, I
some
can show. I can pull
clarification
up the.
on that
I can
so
pull up
that
the
people
ordinance.
will know.
I tell you what.
Uh,
I'll pull up the ordinance right now so you guys
yeah,
can see exactly what I'm talking about.
pull that up.
But let me ask a question. The county judge, great. The county, I know you're all about to open.
Yeah.
Theoretically, I
Well,
heard they've given you some more support.
right.
Are y'all gonna be wearing masks? I mean, do y'all fearful? 'Cause they had a big TV special talking about they hadn't had court in a year.
So good afternoon, everybody. It's good to be here.
Uh,
Um, yeah, so aspects of the courts really never closed, but as far as my court, we're in person and via Zoom, and those who are inside of the courtroom are wearing masks, and the shields are still in the courtrooms, in front of the clerks, the court reporters, and really all court personnel. So those precautions are still there. But what's happening is there are more resources on the way to try to help manage some of the huge dockets that really are the result of the backlog from us not being able to get into the courtroom following Harvey. Then there was the pandemic. So there's still construction going on, but court is still going on. The holdup really is the number of jury trials are still limited because the jury assembly room is not available yet. So a lot of the, all of the trials for all of the courts will have to conduct voir dire in the NRG facility, which um, which is in its own by its own nature, being the NRG is something huge to try to navigate through in picking juries. So so yeah, we're back, never really left in some aspects, and hoping that more resources are on the way so that we can begin to address a lot of what this pandemic has really brought all of us.
Reverend Gilmore, I want to clarify what the mandate is, just real quickly. Governor Abbott, through his executive order, prohibits governmental entities, that includes the city, from requiring people to wear masks. That was effective May
Put your plug
21st.
in.
Violators face a fine. So you can be fined if they violate that. School districts are prohibiting wearing masks. If that was effective June 4th, including campuses where students are too young to be vaccinated. Here's the catch, and this was where there was some needs to be some clarity. Businesses, private businesses, can still require customers and employees to wear masks. So governmental entities can no longer enforce a mask mandate, and that includes the city of Houston or the county or whoever else. But private businesses can require their customers to wear masks. So that's the way it is.
I'm gonna say the mayor of the city of Houston. Therefore, I, Sylvester Turner, he required a mask mandate. Okay.
I'm telling you right now.
No. I'm saying I know what you're saying. He says I'm the mayor of the city of Houston. Okay. So,
He could easily. I mean, I'm glad he did. He could be challenged on that. That's Executive Order 36.
oh, I agree. I agree.
So
Dr. Higgins, this is back to normal. You're a business owner. I mean, uh, I heard today that the kids under 12 are the largest growing group of people being affected from this virus. I mean, people are psychologically disturbed going into the fall because they saying there'll be no virtual learning. I heard that today.
Yeah, well, I mean, the issue has become, we need to have it to where these vaccines have been tested and we know the safety of these vaccines for younger kids less than the age of 12.
Mm.
And they're seeing this growing number of children who are coming up positive, who are getting sick, who are ending up in the hospital. They are leading the way because they're less likely to be vaccinated. And I know I've been going back and forth with a bunch of people today about vaccinations on the
Really?
necessary need for that, because there are people spreading this misinformation about nanospheres being put in your body and them tracking you, and it says 666 and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I've been hearing this story about the end of the world and this takeover from this new world order for the last, I don't know, 30 years. And
What?
and despite no matter how much you challenge individuals, that information is out there. And what is getting us and killing us now is that viruses are living organisms that require a host in order to be alive. So the
Right.
virus itself is going to keep switching and changing until it can be in as many hosts as possible. So when people don't get vaccinated, it allows the virus in you. It tries to switch and change and come out of you into somebody else. So the lack of people getting immunizations, they're actually driving the virus to get better and stronger, which is trying to
Wow.
wipe out the entire population. So people who are not getting vaccinated are actually contributing to the kill.
Stop. But no, I was just saying stop.
Yeah, well, I finished saying it. So the lack of your neighbor, your family member not getting the vaccine is contributing to the death of other Americans. So this is the thing that for some reason we're making I don't get. Vaccine, no, viruses are nothing new. They were probably
Right.
here before us, and viruses will be here after us. Vaccines are nothing new. We've been vaccinating since the dawn of man. And I keep telling people that
Mhm.
is that basically we've understood the idea of herd immunity for thousands of years, where somebody would get sick, you recovered, other people would get sick, but we already knew that something in your body and in your blood would got you to the point where you were able to live. And so basically you shared that with the other people. They do it with cattle, with sheep, with chickens, goats. We've been doing this for thousands of years. Smallpox, done, polio, measles, mumps, rubella, the Spanish flu. What is new is people not wanting to get help for the virus. That's the new part. We've eliminated viruses off the face of the earth with
Wait a
technology
minute, wait a
that's
minute, wait a
100
minute,
years
wait a minute,
old.
Dr. Higgins. So you telling me and Representative Reynolds, I guess I need to understand, are there some people who are intending to continue to affect people by the ignorance of their decisions to not take this Matthews? I might need for you to jump in because it sound like an alien attack or something.
Imagine
You mean
that.
what
Imagine
do
that.
help me? Somebody need to help me.
Well,
Is there a
my
plug over
thought
there?
about this, Doc, is that as I listen to this, I think that there are some people who have some legitimate concerns about the information they're receiving. That this really demonstrates and exposes the skepticism of citizen and people of leadership and about leadership and information that they're getting. Um, and when you talk about the ignorance that exists, I think now that's an effect or the results of when you have refused people to read and get educated, and it's now built up to this point of the school systems being broken, how students are being treated in the school system, medication being pushed, dumbing down learning behavior, not empowering them to learn, all these type of broken pieces. You have an end result of ignorance that exists who don't process or even understand the effect that they're attributing in the community.
Wait a
Now,
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Let me say this here. Let me say this here because I've been wanting to ask Ron. I've been wanting to ask, how do y'all feel? I mean, you know, because they mashing on. They saying leadership, Democrat leadership, but I mean, I'm with y'all. I mean, the kind of stuff. How do y'all feel? You feel individually you had to go all the way to Washington, run away from the state of Texas to get away because this man was just on a ruthless. They on a ruthless, some kind of a mission.
Let me say this. None of us wanted to be away from our wives, our husbands, our children, our
Right,
businesses. are our constituents. But we really had no choice. They forced our hands. I mean, think about it. This was uh, a Republican administration that wanted to force voter suppression. It was really a war against Houston and Harris County because everything that Harris County did through the pandemic, that Carolyn, the city and the county did to open up 24-hour voting centers, to open up drive-through voting, mobile voting, all of that stuff, they declared war against Harris County. And
What?
they did it because there was a record number of black and brown folks that
Devoted.
came out, yeah,
That voted.
that
Yeah.
voted. But that's a problem. They're not doing nothing to combat voter fraud because there was no voter fraud. That is part of the big lie from Donald Trump. They want to stop black and brown folks from voting. That is really what it is. And I said, not on my watch. Not after our forefathers, the people whose shoulders we stand on, literally whipped and got killed and everything, made tremendous sacrifices for the freedoms that we have to end Jim Crow, poll taxes, and literacy tests. And here it is in 2021, and we're having to refight that. And so we said we're going to leave so that we can urge Congress because we knew we didn't have the numbers in the state. They were ready to run it down our throat. And
And
then,
that's exactly my point, State Representative Reynolds. A
yes, sir.
very eloquent point, because it really brings my point home in terms when you see those kind of behaviors by leadership of interrupting or denying or suppressing equity, access, equality, freedom. I mean, then you want the people to then hear the message of safety, take a booster shot, take a COVID shot. I mean, you create such confusion in this whole situation. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that we have to really people like you, Ron, you've been working. I mean, you've been working very diligently. You've been the watchman on the wall. You've been putting the message out. Carolyn, you've been doing the same thing, and so I appreciate that kind of leadership, and especially being in the community as the leader and being able to inform people about what's really going on. But the other bigger picture, I'm wondering if economics is the bedrock to this situation. Because when you have nearly 25 million Americans on unemployment insurance, I mean that was whole designed to, and I appreciate that that love offering, that gift, if you will, to people so that it stimulates the economy. But again, if you put money in people's hands and they exhaust those monies, don't know how to invest those monies, you still perpetuating the same cycle of keeping a person in one place.
Let me
And I want
ask
to
a
be
question.
clear about something when I was saying about the city and the mayor. Actually, even after the executive order, the mayor did require masks. We don't do it now.
Right.
So let me be very clear about that. But initially, there was some resistance, and we were still required to wear masks at the city.
Siobhan, let
And
me
then,
ask you a question. Let me ask you a
go
question.
ahead.
I mean, do you feel like the governor got beef with the mayor and the county judge? Just go on, tell it like it is. I
Well,
want
Ron
to understand.
already alluded. Well, he already spoke to the fact that it's Harris County that's the real target of this. And what happened when he got the pressure from the Republican Party, he's trying to be reelected, and so therefore he doesn't want. He wants to make sure that he's the Republican candidate for that position, and so he knuckled under, so to speak, to I think common sense of really protecting the citizens of the state in favor of getting the favor of the party to be the Republican candidate,
Well,
and
well, well,
that's
well,
the
well,
bottom
well,
line.
well, I don't know. I don't know because once he signed that bill, Representative Reynolds, that said everybody can have a gun.
Ooh. Doc, let me just say this because my sister, I love her. She's been a little bit more delicate than I am. The governor got a real problem with Mayor Turner and Judge Hidalgo.
Mhm.
Okay, he got a
Okay.
major problem with them,
Yeah.
and in fact, he seems to like he went out of his way to work around them, right?
Right.
So even during like Hurricane Harvey and Winter Storm Uri, it was my understanding that Governor Abbott reached out to other folk, but he didn't reach out to the mayor.
The
The mayor,
mayor of the city.
yeah, the mayor of the city. And so the governor has a real problem. All that defund the police crap, that was designed for the city of Austin and the city of Houston, right? And so many other things, like you talked about permitless carry. That's ridiculous stuff. Have y'all seen this crap about critical race theory? Have
Yes.
you seen that? They're banning
Mhm.
teachers from teaching about slavery,
They're banning the
writings
truth.
of Dr. Martin Luther King, that you cannot teach the kids that the KKK was morally wrong, that you can't talk about the teachings of Frederick Douglass. I mean, come on, y'all.
You know, and
I
you know
mean,
what,
but it's
Doctor?
all politically motivated. I mean, Harris County is blue.
Right.
And
But you
so
know,
certainly the leadership reflects, the Democratic Party. And
now
so
I'm
therefore, with it being such a large county, our leaders are being targeted.
so Dr. Higgins, I think this is a good point time for you to segue because how would you describe that dysfunctional abnormal behavior that affects leadership at high levels that make decisions on personality instead of policy and people? Now, see, that's when it comes.
Oh,
That's
I
when
want
the
to hear
mental
this.
health issue then
Yeah.
becomes larger than Ray, who go into the store and look in the camera while he jacking the man behind the clerk, at the
Okay.
clerk behind the desk. I'm sorry, OG, I'm getting your energy right now, but but you see what I'm saying. So I mean,
Yeah.
again, when you see all this dysfunction,
So there's a DSM diagnosis.
come on, Dr. Higgins, talk to us, man.
Man, I ain't got no answers for that. I don't have that one. But I'll tell you what I see. And honestly, it's the issue of struggles of power. Honestly, it's a struggle of power and it's a struggle of distraction. And that we have like, what would be the point of saying the KKK is not morally wrong? What would be the point of that? It's to make a buzz in the community, and to not, you're not dog whistling, you dog honking the horn, but to get your people out to vote for you. It's about power and the consolidation of power and money. Because I mean, is the KKK morally wrong? The United States already said about that. That's old news. You know, is lynching people wrong? Burning crosses and terror, is that wrong now? We're not sure anymore. No, that's buzzwords. They're allowing anyone to have a gun without having to have a permit to carry.
Just
That is to
anybody.
a certain point in your population to try to get them to come out and vote for you. And so essentially, in order to have my power, I will go all out, even if it means the death of other people, so that I can consolidate power within myself. And
Ooh,
that is what we're looking at.
the
So,
death of other people.
well, not wearing a mask, that targets
That's
a certain
It's
population. You got to
death.
also
Yeah.
realize the majority of people who are dying are going to be Black and brown people. Now, many of them will die too, but we're dying at the higher rate. So I don't think it's by chance. I think we're being targeted. And when it comes to Tuskegee was an issue of not receiving services. This is an issue of they're trying to give you the service and you're now not willing to receive it. So when I hear Black people talk about, well, they're trying to kill Black people off by giving them the shot, and I'm telling Black folk, no, they're trying to kill you off by giving you that lie. It's the lie that's killing you. It's the lie that's viral that we have to fight about. And so the point is that I think it's an issue of greed. I don't think it's about race. I don't think it's about guns. I don't think it's about virus. I don't think it's about masks. It's about a certain small portion of the population being able to consolidate all the power. And that's what I think Greg Abbott is about. Now, the fact is that he's given some people on the far right have given up on good policies and good practices. So instead of trying to come up with instead of coming up with better ideas, we need to now shut down part of the population to stay in power. Like, my thought is come up with a better idea. If you feel like we should be able to go maskless, they come up with a way in public health that we could come off with the mask, which is, if we'd have been smart about it, push the idea, put on your mask until we get the vaccine, get the vaccine. If Donald Trump would have followed the experts, he would be president right now, because we could have killed the virus. We've done it before. We've killed multiple viruses in humanity over the last
Mhm.
150 years, a multiple of them. This ain't new. We can fix this. And as sad as this virus is, there have been more powerful viruses out there that we've ridded ourselves of. The Spanish flu was more powerful than this one, and it killed less people with less technology.
Judge Gray, I'd like to ask you a question.
Okay.
How do you see that the virus or the pandemic has impacted the courts with the delay of cases not being able to go to trial and move them through
Um,
the process?
it actually, I mean, it brought it to a slow grinding halt, because once you shut down juries, um, there is no access to a speedy trial or a trial pretty much at all. So it's a huge impact. I mean, a lot of work was done in the county, a lot of excellent work to install Zoom in order to have court proceedings. But at the end of the day, if a person wants a jury trial, I mean, that's going to take a lot. I mean, because people are not wanting to come in and to serve. Just think about that. Uh, so you've got to be able to encourage people to accept the jury service. And those who are coming in, if they're, now I'm hearing about the no mask mandates, and so how do you protect those who do want to do their civic duty and want to be protected but be safe in doing so? So that's a factor. It's a huge factor, and it has caused a huge bottleneck. They're estimating over 100,000 cases that are just, you know, and that's directly as a result of the pandemic.
And economically, how has that impacted the county, the city? Because I mean, they're there. We know that there's funding for them to be facilitated, fed, medications, and so forth. But on the
Right.
tax base side, I mean, how are we affected as paying the taxes on that with that bottleneck situation?
Well, so someone who has more, maybe the councilwoman would know more about the tax side of it. I do know that a lot of federal money did come in into play in order to make sure that all the extra precautions that are there, the masks, all the sanitizer, and all the other things that federally were granted through, I guess it was the CARES Act and what have you. But those resources are there, but you need people in courts in order to hear cases. And the truth of the matter is, people are not wanting to hear and try cases on Zoom for a lot of reasons. So and until people are safe and can feel safe, that's going to be a huge problem.
Representative Reynolds, where do we go from here? I mean, you out of town, the judge got to wait for a court. Councilwoman, I don't know where we going from here, but where do we go from
Well,
here?
here's my suggestion is, first of all, we are going to be here, and we're making good and necessary trouble, to coin John Lewis's famous words. We are here through August the 7th, through the end of the first call, what we call I call it the suppression session, because ain't nothing special about it. Okay. And so we're going to be here, but we're going to continue to fight and really rally Congress to pass HR 1, the For the People Act, and HR 4, the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. Just today, I was with Congressman Al Green and Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, and again yesterday on the Hill. I'm using this time to really advocate for the federal passage of these laws. what you can do is
Yeah.
to stay woke. We need to make sure that we are holding our own elected officials accountable. Your state representative, your state senator, and your governor and your lieutenant governor. They represent all of us, and they need to be accountable to all of us. And they, there are more Black folks in Texas per the 2020 census than any other state in the United States of America. A lot of people
Oh, we number
Wow.
one. We
number
number
one.
one now. I thought we were number two. Man,
Yeah.
you
Not
remember I
anymore.
mentioned that. So we
We're
are
number
number
one.
one.
So Black folks
Wow.
need to start acting like we number one. We need to step into our seat.
Okay.
We need to have a unified Black
Yeah.
agenda. We need to support our Black businesses. We
Yeah.
need to create economic power in our Black community. So
Yeah.
I think those are things we
Yeah.
don't have to wait for the government to change the this or that. We need to do that on our own, and we need to
Right.
hold all of our elected officials accountable. I mean, I wish more people, and I don't say this because she on here, but Dr. Shabazz is one of the ones that I can say I can count on to do things in the
Right.
community. When it came to George
Right.
Floyd stuff, I don't care how many times I went, she was there,
Yeah.
and she
Right.
was one of the few that was consistently there long after the cameras were gone. She was there. We
Right.
need more people that are in the trenches, that are foot soldiers, grassroots, that are down for the community, not the other way around. We're
Right.
here. We're called public servants, not servants, not the other way around. We need to be the serving the public, our constituents. And so I think we all need to really do a reality check and start holding people accountable, and then making sure that we're engaged, right? We're informed and we're empowered on the issues that are impacting our community. So it takes a village, and I think that we have to continue to have these kind of dialogues, and to make it plain and simple why elections are so important. Remember, your vote is your voice, and if it wasn't so important, they wouldn't be working so hard to take it away from you. They know it's so important, and they see the change in demographics of the state. So that's what I really, really encourage people to do. I mean, and not just wait until the presidential elections. I need people voting in council. You can't. I mean, if you guys knew how small the turnout was in these city council races, in these school board races, that's where the rubber meets the road. In these county commissioner races, that's where the power is. It's in the local government. That's who determines who's going to be the next police chief and the fire chief. That determines
Hmm.
so many vitally essential services in our local community. So I need people to stay woke and really be engaged and informed and empowered.
Representative Reynolds, I'm gonna say this to you that on behalf of Houston Ministers Against Crime, under the leadership of President Williams, and serve as his project coordinator, please keep your door open with channeling information to me
You
so that
got
I can give it to him and we can disseminate that information to other pastors and we can be the boots on the ground. We understand evangelistic work. We understand door to door. We get that. And so if we are properly armed and empowered with information, the right information, then we can put out the information, disseminate it to educate our people, man.
I want to thank you for that because I
I,
didn't know
I
we
want to
were number
also
one.
applaud Representative Reynolds and the other representatives that made this great sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, it has not gone unnoticed. And the real funny part about it is, I was in Virginia on yesterday, and people not knowing my position, but knowing that I'm elected, were like, "Aren't you in D.C.? Aren't you in D.C.?" I
Yeah.
said, "No, I'm not in D.C. I'm a city councilman. I'm not a state rep."
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that lets me know that the message is going
Let's get
out
it. Yeah.
there of the sacrifice that our state Democratic and our state legislators are making.
Yeah.
And so I just want him to know that we are behind you, and certainly just to let you know, because sometimes it can be discouraging.
Yeah.
I am doing all of this, and for what? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And then you
Right.
have to know that the people are really appreciative of what you're doing. So I want to say that publicly, that I really appreciate it, and it is not going unnoticed.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. From one
Yeah,
freedom fighter to
Judge, I
another.
wanted you to ask you a question relative to what can we do to help, because I know we got a long way to go. I know your county commissioner came out. She's going to have 4 more judges supposedly to help with that. But is there
Right.
something that we can in the community from the community side?
I I think what you're doing today, Dr. Gilmore, and all of you here
Mm,
today, continue to educate, continue to encourage people to take care of themselves because
mm,
we're all depending upon each other.
mm,
And if we are not educating ourselves about the virus and all the various variants of the virus and how to take care of ourselves, then we are not going to be able to get past this um, as as quickly as we could if everybody would you
mm,
know
mm,
educate themselves and
mm.
seek out the resources. So I think forums like this is the way that the message can go viral.
Well,
And
Dr.
so
Higgins, let me ask you a question. I know that I know you've been, just all over the place in terms of helping people understand the mental needs of stability. You know, this is traumatizing quite a few people at a certain level. I think when I heard Representative Reynolds say that we're number one in terms of population blacks. I mean, there must be a lot of black people scared to say something. I mean, the anxiety levels must be out of the roof.
Mm.
What do we need to do? Where do we go from here and getting that message out? Let be calm. You mentioned something about people thinking they was being injected with some type of what was that they was
Chip,
injected with?
a chip.
With a chip.
yeah.
A chip.
Wow.
Yeah. Where this
I
coming from?
mean, the issue is, hitting the entire public, entire society. A lot of people are scared, afraid. Anxiety is up. Mental health disorders are up. Overdosing on
I
drugs
saw
is
that.
up.
I
Substance
saw
abuse is
that.
up. So everything has just been ratcheted up on everyone. And honestly, I'm busier now than I've been in a long time. I mean,
Really?
been extremely busy. Not to mention,
Mm,
school goes back. I mean, normally summers for me are slow, but this summer has been extremely busy. And when school goes back in, you've got kids who got to go to school without the mask mandate. I can guarantee you kids are going to be getting sick. Numbers are going to go up in hospitals, and parents are
oh,
freaking out. Not to mention how these kids have been stuck at home, not able to go places and do things, not able to go
mm.
around other folk. And it's the whole thing is just ratcheting up to a boiling point, and for many people, it's boiling out the side of the pan, right into the fire.
So is
And
that well, I guess my question would be, is that going to be a new normal?
I certainly hope not, but I do not see the end of this anytime soon. I see that this is going to ratchet up. I think things are going to be worse before they're going to get better, simply because not enough people have gotten the shot. The children haven't gotten the shot. I mean, there's nothing
Mm,
like your child being ill and you not knowing if they're going to live or die.
Helplessness.
There is
yeah.
no other stress like that other than the death of your child. So those things are going to be there, and it's going to make things worse. I mean, and honestly, and I just have to tell people to be prepared. Try to do all that you can do to keep yourself safe. But sadly, we're in a danger point right now, and the numbers are going back up, and the numbers don't lie. The numbers are not lying. And so, just trying to encourage people to get your vaccinations together. Try to keep yourself clean. Try to make sure you wear your mask out in public, even if you are vaccinated. 99% of everybody who's died from this COVID virus are unvaccinated people over the last 2 months. 1% of
Mm,
people who've died are people who are vaccinated. So even if you are vaccinated, make sure you still wear your mask in public places, things of that sort. But the problem that people are running into is that you can only be closed in for so long, and that in itself will kill you mentally. So you
mm,
cannot be in a situation where you just torture yourself, where you don't have any sort of communication with the outside world. We as humans are communal people. And so essentially, you do have people who are just becoming overly stressed by being stuck in the house and not being able to get back to their normal sense of self. And so, but you can do that if you put your mask on and get your vaccine. And I'm trying to let people know the way to normal, because things won't ever go back to being the same. But the way to decrease the stress and anxiety in the overall population is so that people don't get sick and die. And how do you do that?
mm,
Get the vaccine, put your mask on, and really we can end all of this. But the problem is that because people are not vaccinated, the virus keeps changing itself stronger each time. So the virus is not going away. It's only going to get stronger and stronger because it's going from host to host. This is not new information. This ain't new medicine. This is old medicine. The problem is the misinformation campaign, and I wonder who is it? Like who wins by sending out this bad information? And people say, well, it's developed too quick. Well, I can tell you right now, cars are faster than horse-drawn carriages. All right.
Yeah.
Arrows are faster than throwing rocks.
Right.
Bullets are faster than shooting arrows. All right. So the fact
Right.
that yes,
Right.
you would think that with the technology we would have gotten better, but you know you don't pull out pen and paper when you're trying to do sine and cosine. You just put that into the calculator and it gives you an exact number. So I don't. The way back to normal is making sure that we get the information out there, confront bad information on the spot. And that's one thing that I've had to say to myself that I need to do when I see something stupid online or social media or with the family. Like I know a family member who's a Vietnam vet who doesn't want to get the shot. And I said, well, how many shots did you get before you went to Vietnam? And how many questions did you ask? You probably got 50 shots before you went to Vietnam. And I guarantee you none of that has been tested as much as this shot has been.
Right.
And you're still here, you're still alive. You know, so
Right.
just trying to challenge this bad information, I think is going to be our way out the way through this.
I wanted to say one other thing. You know, what really concerns me is the special session, period. And what concerns me is the things that should have been addressed in the regular session. Because we're talking about people being sick. What happened to Medicaid expansion? You know, to help people to be able to get medical coverage and medical care, rather.
Right.
You know, what we had this terrible freeze in February. What is going on with the grid? You know, that we don't have to have these rolling blackouts, but you want to meet about something political as opposed to those things that are really beneficial to people. And that really is what concerns me. And so I don't know if Representative Reynolds wants to speak to that, but it's just unbelievable to me how we have placed this voter suppression bill above the lives of people. And that really disturbs me because people died in that freeze, you know.
And
Right.
the
And then you have
infrastructure,
people that are dying
the reality,
daily from COVID, and they don't have appropriate medical care. And so,
well,
shouldn't
it's
that
unique.
shouldn't
You
have been
said
a
that,
special session. That should have been number one and number two on the regular session, in my opinion.
but it was. I think that's the part, Representative Reynolds. You can say what you need to, but I think that was what everybody thought was going to
that's
happen.
correct. Yeah, that is
Right?
correct. Instead of Governor Abbott adding the fixing the grid to the special session and even Medicaid
Right.
expansion because we lead the nation in the number of uninsured. And we thought that this pandemic, Dr. Higgins can testify to this, that it has exacerbated those who without health care. And Texas is losing billions of dollars in federal funding because we don't have access to Medicaid expansion. So we thought that we would fix that. There's so many looming issues, paid sick leave, increasing the minimum wage, looking at climate change. But basically, we're focused on this voter suppression stuff, an additional abortion ban, and then the critical race theory, and then a real bad bail reform bill. Again, that is attacking Harris County because of you've seen recently Governor Abbott said that it's the legislature's fault, but then our former police chief Carolyn is saying it's Rodney Ellis' fault in terms of the bail reform and the people killing people. I don't know if y'all saw that, but it's so much, but it's all red meat Republican partisan politics. So they're not doing what's best for Texas. They're doing what's best for their base, their Republican base that votes in Republican primaries. Everybody else is being left behind. So that is really what's going on. That's why I said we need to be engaged and vote and get rid of Governor Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Patrick and Attorney General Ken Paxton. All three of them are really the part of the problem that is holding the state back, because Paxton, as you all know, he was the only attorney general in the country that went and filed the lawsuit to protect and preserve Trump, even though it had no basis. It was
Nothing.
there's no attorney general that files a lawsuit in another state, right, to invalidate their state's election. That it was the most ridiculous thing that we've ever seen. But that's what we're doing, and that's what we have running our state right now.
Let me ask
Well,
you a
I
question,
know we get ready.
Reverend Gilmore. Just a quick
Hold on.
question. Have we
Yeah,
ever heard of welfare fraud? Anybody ever heard of welfare fraud?
Mhm.
Absolutely,
I've
yeah.
heard.
Okay.
Yeah, I've
Are they
heard the
throwing that
term.
system
Yeah,
out?
yeah.
I'm just wondering. I mean, you are so adamant about throwing out a voting system, but you're not
Right,
adamant about, you address welfare fraud case by case. You don't throw out the whole welfare system
right. That's right.
because you
That's
have
right.
found it to be welfare fraud. And so,
Yeah.
why are you trying to throw out a system of voting that people came out and said we had a great election, everything went well, but now we want to throw out
Right,
the whole
right,
system? So let's just look at it. Why one and not the
right,
other? And so, I mean,
right.
that's a rhetorical question. I don't know if anybody can answer that, but that came to my
No, ain't
mind. I mean, I've heard of
no.
welfare fraud,
That's
and
a lot.
so nobody's throwing
That's a
that system
logical.
out, and I wonder why not.
No, that's a logical question, and the relevance of the reality would represent the Reynolds is saying, and many of us in the community who want to do something, you know. And Judge, I know you got to
Yes, I'm
leave.
dropping
Any
out.
last comments you got any comments you want to share with
Um,
us?
Nothing other than I'm just encouraging everybody to take good care, spread the message. This is a great
Right,
forum. Thanks for having me here tonight, and everybody, please stay safe. Yes,
always,
take care. All right.
always. Dr.
Okay.
Higgins, you
Enjoy your
made some
trip.
very
Okay.
you
Take
made some
care.
very
You
illuminating
too.
points. Any closing thoughts, Dr. Higgins?
No, I just encourage everyone to encourage everyone else to make sure that we get the vaccine done. Make sure you speak up if you see something wrong with bad commentary, spreading rumors, things of that sort. And really, we can get to the end of this. And I would say make sure you take care of your physical self, but take care of your mental health. Know how to take a break
Right,
away from it, and everybody just try to calm down. And if you need to get care, go ahead and step up and get the care that you need. If you need to see a therapist, if you need to see a psychiatrist, a counselor, or whomever it may be, don't wait.
right.
Go ahead and
Don't wait.
start early. Because the fact is that right now, mental health services are being overwhelmed. And I tell folks, mental health is like the second line at the funeral. That's silent. You have the front portion that goes on, but mental health has the party going on in back that too often we don't talk about. And so
Don't even
this
talk
mental
about
health issue is running through the roof. Get help early, step in, and take care of yourselves.
it. Representative Reynolds, you got any comments? We certainly praying for y'all.
Yeah, just keep us in prayer, man. There's power in prayer, and I appreciate all the support. We got to keep spreading the message and really waking people up. I mean, this is an informed group right here. I know everybody on here, but there's so many people, working double jobs to make ends meet that don't really know what's going on. So we can't assume that they know the critical issues that are facing our community. So we got to
Right,
keep spreading the word, informing people, and encouraging people, because so many people are down. That's why you see suicide up,
that's
homicide is
right.
up. There's so
That's
many
right.
people going through mental, as Dr. Higgins said, illnesses and issues. So we got to really be encouraging and be our brothers and sisters keeper to help people get through these tough economic and times of stress. So let's just be our brothers and sisters keeper. Remember, it takes a village. Thank y'all.
Man, Councilwoman, you want to give us a thought
Oh, I think I've given you many thoughts.
or you just, yeah, I thought you was tired. You,
I really
woo,
have. And I'm going to tell you, Dr. Higgins, I have really enjoyed some of the things that you have said as well. I mean, just so profound. And I always try to make a way to get here because I know my brothers always have some great discussions. And so, it's just that we have to take the responsibility to take care of ourselves
that's right.
because those that are in leadership are not doing that to the best of their ability. Those, and I don't have to tell you which ones those are. And so we certainly have to make sure that we get our vaccinations, regardless of what's going on. We have to make sure that we wear our masks and protect ourselves and protect our children. And so, that's the bottom line. We can depend on the government to do a lot of things. But at the end of the day, when I close that door, my front door, I am in my home and I have to do that which is needed for me to be safe and strong when I go back out that door. And so that's basically what I would like to share in regards to where we are with this COVID vaccine and the mandates and the no mandates and the whatever. I cannot be told that I cannot wear a mask, right? Unless maybe I'm walking in a bank or something and they think I'm going in there to rob.
Stop.
But other
Stop.
than that, it used to be, right? If you walk in there with a mask before, you had a whole nother story, especially if you were African American, right? And so now I'm going to tell you, we just have to take responsibility for ourselves.
That's right.
Research and read and find out what is best. But if they have a booster, I'll be in line for that as well.
I'm number 2. My friend, Dr. Matthews, what?
Real quick, man. Thank every one of you. Good to see you all. My only thing I can say, man, is that I think it's bigger than COVID. It's bigger than the fight that our brother got going on in Washington, D.C. It's a psychological abnormal behavior, a philosophy that is destroying people, that has their own personal agenda, power, economics, and other things alike, as opposed to considering people and policy. And, when you look at the bombing in Oklahoma, that kind of thought process that destroyed wealth, strive, Billy, people want to be a part of the economic equality and success and American dream. And then you have someone who's dealing with personal dynamics and at the expense of people. And then you want the citizens to be compliant to rules and regulations. Is just hypocritical. I think that it needs to be addressed. Thank you, Ron, for sharing with that very important point about the fact how large Texas is, and we are and should demonstrate as number one, because we are number one, and we understand how to serve from the top and not the bottom. And please, brother, do not allow faith community leaders to put you in a position of predicament that there's only one group who got a voice. We all got a voice, and we're all willing to exercise our voice to get the word out and help our people, man. God bless you.
Thank you very much, everybody. This has been Houston Public Affairs Access, and we are just so grateful. Until next time, it's a blessing.
Peace.